When you were a kid, you were the best creator, the best artist. You would draw, you would make stuff out of nothing, and then something changed. I can tell you that we were the best creators because I was one of those, you were one of those, and I can see it now. My little cousin, he draws superheroes all the time. Have a look. You like this one? Spider-Man? Do you like this one? Like, he makes these things, and like you used to do, he would say, "Oh, look, I made this. I made this." But we didn't add things like, do you like it? Would you like to buy this? Or, how can I monetize this? All that kind of things that we now do. And I'm not against selling your art. I'm not against that. But we would create because we wanted to express something. We would notice things around in our environment, and we would capture those things and replicate what we saw in the world. To express. It's an innate need that we have. Self-expression. It's an innate. Try not to express something for the next week. Let's see what happens. You can't. You're constantly have this need to express yourself. When I was in kindergarten, I remember my kindergarten years. Our teachers would involve us in all sorts of creative projects, like sculptures, like drawings, plays, all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed. I remember those years, and I really enjoyed going to kindergarten. I remember all my friends there. The creations that we would make were all different. Like, no two creations looked the same. For example, they told us, color this cap. And we would all, I would color it using green, yellow, and the other kid would use another color. We were free to express what we needed to express using our creativity. School ruined everything, and I'm not here to demonize school. I am a teacher, so I'm not here to demonize school, but I've been to school for long enough, and I went to school for long enough when I was a student. I went to school for 13 years. So I have the right, I guess, I'm qualified to talk about this. In school, what did we do? We studied. I was a very good student in school. I was a very good student. I've always been a good student in school because I remember that I thought that was my responsibility. It was not my job, but it was like a sort of a duty that I had, going to school and getting good grades. That's why I learned. I studied, which is different. It's different from learning. In school, I made myself like what I wanted to, what I had to study. I never really learned. If you ask me what I learned during all those years, probably, most of those things are unconscious. Like, I learned unconsciously. I know how to write and read because I went to school. So I'm not saying, again, I'm not here to demonize school, but school that kills, not that kills, that suppresses creativity, there's no reason for that kind of system to exist. There's no reason. There's no space for schools. There should be not space for schools that don't allow kids, teenagers, young learners, adults even, to express themselves. How cool would it be? Now, I know that this sounds like, like new agey, new kind of hippie style. But think about it. Like, why did you go to school? And I can talk about my experience. When I was there to get good grades. That's it. That's what I was there. And I remember all these meaningless grades. Like I remember this scale. It was, the best one was yes. Yes, that was the best grade that you could get. Then we had satisfying plus. Then satisfying, acceptable plus, acceptable, partial, very partial, and no. Like, what was the thinking behind that kind of scale? But at least that was, they used adjectives. Acceptable, satisfying. He did a satisfying job. But numbers? What about numbers? I remember asking my niece when she was in school. She was 17, a few years ago. And she said, I got a 7 in math. And I asked her, okay, great. What can you do now with the math that you've learned? And she said, well, I don't know. It's just great that I got a 7. Like, is this the school that is this useful? Is this useful? I don't think it's useful. I think it would be much better if we go to school to create, to share, to learn together. But at least in my country, in Italy, it's still like it used to be when I used to go to school. And when I used to go to school, I was going to the same places and I was in the same system that my parents used to be in. So it has never changed really, or it's changed, but very, very slowly. Very slowly. Still today, we go to school and my brother, he did the same thing that I used to do. My brother is 24. He was there with books and he had to shut up, listen to a teacher, to a lecture about the Roman Empire at 8 a.m. in the morning. Why? Why? But I know why, and you know why. You know why school exists. And I felt it. I felt that it was not there to... It was there to help me find a job, to create the conditions for me to, become a good worker. When I went to Morocco, in 2022, I went to Morocco for a trip, and the people there, young people, they told me, in Europe, you have a school system. School teaches you how to make money. Like, school prepares you for the world of work. Here in Morocco, they told me, they cannot give us a job, so they teach us history. They teach us the history of our country. And I remember talking with them. They were telling me things about their country that I was so fascinated by, that I thought, you know so much about your country, about your history, about the culture. I know nothing about mine. And they said that this is what they studied in school. This is what they made them passionate about. I don't know about the school system in Morocco, but this is what they told me. And I was like, it would be great if my teachers had told me about the history of Italy. The problem is, the history lessons in not in Italy, in the school that I went to, were all lectures with no intention, no desire to make me curious about what happened in the past, Now I'm very interested in history, for example. I'm very much interested in history. And now I want to learn. Now it's like I feel this desire to learn some periods of history, not everything. When I was at school, I didn't care, because history was treated like another school subject that teachers had to test, and that you had to remember facts, you had to remember dates. How useful is it to know when the Roman Empire was built? How useful is it for a 15 years old? It's not useful until it becomes useful. And when does it become useful? It becomes useful when the person wants to know. I want to know when that happened. You don't need to tell me now. You don't need to give me all these facts at 8 a.m. in the morning. If I'm doing it, it's because I have to do it, and because otherwise my mom will get upset if I don't get a good grade. But this is not the reason why we learn. We don't learn to get grades. We learn because we are hungry. We are thirsty. That's why we learn. We want to evolve. We are curious. That's when we learn. Ooh, this is a big rant. And this is also to tell you that you may think that you're not creative, because I've heard it many times in my family, in myself. I've told many times I'm not creative, I'm not good at making things. I'm not good at writing as well, and I'm saying this as a writer. But the reality is that we are creators. We are naturally born, innate. I don't know. I don't know the right word. We were born to create. Because if you're saying that you're not creative, well, you're saying that you're not human. This is what you're saying. And creativity, unfortunately, in some schools, in some countries, in my experience, what happened to me was suppressed. My creativity was suppressed in schools. I've been to schools as a teacher, and I've seen teachers yelling at kids, telling them to shut up and listen, otherwise they would get a note. A note is, in Italy we have this thing, I don't know if in your country it's the same. A note is basically a note that your teacher writes in your diary, and maybe they write, Fabio was disrupting the lesson today, and then you have to show that to your parents, and your parents then, well, there's this thing that they say that parents used to get mad at the kid, now they get mad at the teacher. I don't know which one is true now, but I've seen that, and I've seen small, like kid, like 6 years old, sitting there coloring things with colors dictated by the textbook. So the textbook said, color this with green, and they would color the thing with green. In kindergarten, we were all free to do whatever we wanted to. Now 1 year later, we're doing this. Okay, I hope that teachers won't get mad, because teachers, I feel, there are many good teachers. Unfortunately, I've had very few good teachers. I've had teachers that would walk into the classroom with a book and just talk about the book. Like they didn't even add something like they didn't have anything to say, anything to add. They were just reading from the book. How sad is that? Why are we having this lesson? I can read. I can read aloud. You don't need to do it for me. So I've had many teachers who were like, I learned nothing from them, and nothing from, not from them, from their lessons. And teachers who really inspired me. Unfortunately, those were, like, I had two teachers who really inspired me, but the rest, no. Okay, I hope this gives you something to think about. There's a very good TED Talk. It's the most watched TED Talk in the history of TED Talks. I think it still is. If it's not the most watched, it might be in the top 3. It's called School Kills Creativity by Sir Ken Robinson. You've seen that, I'm sure. And there's a book by Ken Robinson called The Element, or Find Your Element. I read that, and I highly recommend it. And there's the interview with Seth Godin that I recorded a few months ago, where he talks about reinventing education. He's written an ebook called Stop Stealing Dreams, What is School For? Okay, you're now believe that you are a creator. Believe that you are a creator. I want to close the video with this. It's been a long ramble. I have nothing prepared here. I've only got these drawings. I wrote a little article a week ago on Monday. I don't remember, but it's all based on that. You are creative. You are creative. You were born to create. If you think that you're not, basically, you're saying, it's like saying, I don't have a nose. Well, no, you do have a nose, and have a big one. So stop thinking that you're not creative. Stop thinking that you cannot make great stuff. The more you impose constrictions, I feel it. Like before recording this video, I didn't want to record this video because I had many negative thoughts. I was like, I'm sure that by saying these things, people will not, they will start getting mad at me because I'm attacking a system, and maybe I shouldn't, and I don't have a clearly structured talk. I didn't care. This is what came out. It may be terrible. It may be my next most watched video. I'll never know. I decided to switch on this camera, to turn on this camera, talk to you, and this is me today, right now. And you can be yourself today, right now, by expressing yourself, by putting out a poem, a drawing, a video, an article, a blog post, a podcast, organizing. You can organize an event. There are thousands of ways to be creative, and you can do it. You can do it because you are a person with a brain. Right, that's it. How long? Woo! 20 minutes. Over 20 minutes. All right. See you in the next video. Bye, guys. Bye-bye.